How's it going, folks? This is Aviel Leos from the Children's Court, and it's a new year. It's 2020. I still am optimistic about the direction that this country is moving in under President Donald J. Trump, and I truly believe that he's going to win in a landslide come the November election. With all that being said, we have to talk about the California problem. California has an infinite number of issues and problems that need to be addressed. One of those being that California is hemorrhaging its citizens in significant numbers. And the reason that that could be a problem is because they're largely hive-minded, socialist, Marxist, and entitled. And that's something that I'll get into in another video. The scary part about it is they're the people that voted the government that is oppressing them into office over and over and over again. And I don't see any change in that coming in the near future. So them leaving and spreading across the rest of the country and infecting others with their mentality is very dangerous, in my personal opinion. And they're not going to blame the people that have put that legislation in place. If you look at New York, you look at California, you even look at where I live in Massachusetts, a lot of these places are Democrat safe havens. They create the legislation, they pass the laws, and they destroy their communities. And then the left-leaning progressive Democrats that vote them into office turn to the Republicans and call them racist and say it's all their fault. So I think it's detrimental that the California problem be addressed before it's too late. The other side of that is mass illegal immigration. California is an access point for illegal immigrants from all over the world to come into this country and then move into the interior of the United States. The past administration actually aided and abetted these criminals, because technically they're breaking the law by jumping our borders and sneaking into our country, but they actually were aided and abetted. They were picked up by government officials, put on planes and buses, and shipped to Alabama, Massachusetts, Kansas, just everywhere. It didn't matter. And they were given sanctuary, and they were given public services that you had to pay for if you were a working class American citizen. The government isn't addressing this issue. And so it's another thing that could turn into a big problem. We're not dealing with mass immigration or mass migration to the proportions of the EU at the moment. But if we didn't get Trump in 2016, you could have kissed this country goodbye. We would have been a lot worse off than the UK right now. Another big problem that they're having there is the housing crisis. There are whole communities of people living in tents on the side of the streets, using the bathroom on the streets. Opioid crisis that is just driving people mad and insane. And California is great. It's a great weather state. So I always said to myself that if I ever just was flat broke and just failed at life, I would just move to California and live on the streets and probably find somewhat of a good life doing that. So I can understand why people are just saying, you know, I'll just live in a tent. I'll get a job, get a cell phone, get an iPad, and I'm good. That's all I need. I can go McDonald's, Chick-fil-A. So I understand people's logical thinking. Instead of trying to afford one of these $5,000 two-bedroom apartments, I'll just live in a tent, or I'll just live in my car. I don't really need very much. So I can understand them, but they shouldn't have to live that way just because they have a corrupt government that is not taking care of business. So again, that in itself, having such a large homeless population that it looks like a third world and businesses can't function because they have people defecating and shooting up drugs and walking around looking like zombies on main streets in LA. That's a very big problem that could, again, infect the rest of the country if the ideals of these people leave California, which is happening. They hate America, they hate God, and they hate law enforcement. Another big problem with California is law enforcement is more of an enemy than actual enemies of the country. People in California actually side with anybody who's the enemy of the United States. The government of California implemented their own legislation and passed into law the Obamacare tax, which President Trump and the federal government repealed this year. Well, not this year anymore, it's 2020, but repealed last year. So in California, if you don't have health insurance by the end of the year, or for a significant amount of the year, they'll tax you for it. California said, we don't give a crap about our people, so we're going to continue to make them pay this tax if they don't get health care, because somebody's got to pay for all these illegal immigrants, and it's not going to be us. Congratulations, the people that you keep voting into office keep destroying your lives. I don't understand how you people think over there, but it's a bigger problem than California. I hope Californians are looking and listening, because I think just being able to listen to people talk about this from outside of California, just a different perspective, might snap you guys out of it. You obviously know that your lives are miserable over there, but you're still mad at Donald Trump, and you're not mad at Nancy Pelosi and Maxine Waters and all of these people that could be making your lives better over there. They put a 5% cap on rent, on raising rents. Recently, they passed into legislation, and they stood in front of cameras and they talked about it as if they were bringing some type of solution to the housing crisis problem. But a cap on rent increases does nothing to help the people inside this housing crisis, if one of the main problems is they can't afford the rent to begin with. Honestly, if you're letting landlords charge upwards of $5,000 to live inside a 2-bedroom apartment, then capping those landlords off on 5% increases doesn't really do much to help the problem. I think that they're trying to avoid having a federal law where landlords are capped at a rent, like it was before. Experts will get on the TV or they'll get in front of the cameras and tell you that if they make housing more affordable for you, it would destroy the economy and be bad for the country. So they're basically saying, they're smiling inside their suits and their ties, and they're saying you should suffer instead of the housing economy, because landlords aren't going to want to invest inside building if they can't price you out of the market or make you live with 5 strangers. You would not even believe me if I told you that California is experiencing power outages that range from a couple of hours to a week. And listen, I know this is America. You wouldn't guess that third world situations like communities of tent cities and power outages that last up to a week were actual. You also wouldn't believe that a city inside the Union of the United States would go without clean water for multiple years, but that was true too. So the power outages have gotten so bad that they last for up to a week now. If you're a Californian with a place to live and energy, you're still paying for that, even though it went out. It's crazy. So along with all these problems, the California government just keeps raising taxes on everything. So they're effectively trying to price you out of living like life. I think they want people to just die. Just kill yourself, because we're not going to let you enjoy this paradise called California. We're going to make you miserable until you leave or die. That is the California problem. When we think about everything that I just mentioned inside this video, it all goes back to the California government. And it's a one-party system in California. The conservative or right side, a Republican side, if you will, is totally unrepresented inside this state. And it shows. The Democratic Party has largely been turned into a socialist or a globalist party. And under that rule, all you can expect is oppression and tyranny. The solution to the California problem is to change the government in California. This is outrageous to be saying in 2020, but I think that Donald Trump has created in the Republican Party, a party that is ready to rebuild America. And I think they would put a large, substantial amount of effort into rebuilding California and making people and letting people see how much that they're ready to invest inside the state. If Californians gave the GOP, the Republican Party, a chance to get in there and do some work, it would be probably the biggest success story in the next decade, is the reclamation of California and a rebuilding of California. Obviously, nothing is working under the current party that you're with. If you hate Trump so much that you'd rather suffer for the rest of your life, then, I mean, have at it. National rent control is a bigger conversation that needs to be had, because I think a flat rate, like a flat cap rate for rents, is needed again, because landlords are just way out of control. I'm staying inside a basement apartment for almost $2,000 a month. And these people have no souls. These landlords, these property owners, they don't even see you as human beings. They just see units and prices for units. They don't care if people actually have a place to live or not. So I think that we have to force that issue through government, and we'll see where that goes. But as far as the California problem, it's time to switch party and see where that leads you, because like President Trump said to the black community during his election campaign, what do you have to lose? Literally, what do you have to lose? You're living in tents, you're using the bathroom on sidewalks, and have, a significant amount of the people inside your poverty communities are walking around like zombies from Resident Evil. So what do you have to lose? I'm going to leave it right there, folks. Get in the comments, let me know what you think. I've been seeing so many videos about what's going on in California and why people are leaving and how devastating it is for the economy, and how it's being held up by just taxing people through the roof. So let me know what you think, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video.
Follow me back to reality, break through the looking glass. What you looking at? Rude, what you looking at? I ain't looking at you, sir, I'm looking past. I gotta be mean, cause nice guys finish last. And I'm about to have a birthday bash. My life's backstage and you don't get no pass. All kind of women I get, I just don't brag. And no charges filed by any pussies that I grab. Laugh when they condemn me.